Hello, this is Bobby Capuccio. I'd like to thank you for joining me for another PT on the Net video interview. My guest today is the incomparable Amory Miller, and we're at SVR Multi-Sport Cycle Shop right here on 58th Street in New York City. Amory, you have done everything in the fitness industry. You're a seasoned exercise physiologist, an 8-time U.S. Master Cycling Champion. You've presented all over the world for organizations such as Reebok, and probably what I think is most important, you've been at the highest levels of organizational management for companies that are easily within the top 10 of the most prominent health club organizations in the world. So I think it's safe to say that not only do you know what you're talking about, but you know how to apply what you know. And that's the reason I was really excited about interviewing you today, because with such research and advancement in biofeedback technology from organizations such as Polar, one of the things that we're starting to see a dramatic upswing, but in my opinion not nearly enough of, in the health clubs, in the exercise studios, is utilization of such biofeedback tools as heart rate training. Would you agree with me on that?
I think definitely that most exercisers don't take advantage of the great technology that's at hand. Everybody knows how to use every iPhone app under the sun, and now there are many iPhone apps and apps for other portable devices that will really help improve your understanding of your health and fitness and your workouts. And I think that the heart rate monitor is one of the most basic tools and really can be as simple or as complex as the consumer wants to purchase. I do think that using a heart rate monitor can help an individual to achieve their goals faster, whether it's simple weight loss, whether it's improving their cardiovascular health and fitness. Maybe they've been told by a doctor they have some health risks or they need to start exercising. A heart rate monitor is one way to really help you stay on track and make sure you're getting the right amount of exercise and the right intensity. And I think also it helps the performance athlete to understand not only their limits, but also to train smarter so that they can improve their performance.
So it's a misconception that if I'm not training someone who is an elite level competitive endurance athlete like yourself, I really don't need a heart rate monitor. Everyone can benefit from a heart rate monitor. Let's see how easy and practical it is to use, shall we?
Oh, absolutely. So what we're going to do first, let me show you just an array of heart rate monitors that we have here at SVR. Here's some of the selection we have. Some of these heart rate monitors are basic and just deal with heart rate. Perhaps they show the time of day, much like a normal watch. Some of them also have zones that you can set to individualize and to beep or alarm you, if you're in or out of your zone. Many of these are downloadable, so you can actually track your workout. After your workout, you can download to either a website or to software so that you can keep records of your workouts, and if you want to know what you did last week, and go back and review it or compare it to future workouts. Many of these heart rate monitors and the Polar models also have pods that you can add so that they can sense time and distance. Many have bike pods that you can add to get records of speed and cadence while you're cycling, as well as your heart rate. It'll also keep total time, total distance, and they also have foot pods, so that you can actually track your distance and your pace per mile. All these work with the concept behind our heart rate monitor is very simple. You have a chest strap that you wear around your chest that senses your heart rate. It's the same technology as an EKG that you would get at the doctor's office or at a hospital, and a receiver or a monitor which actually picks up your heart rate and shows the display as you're exercising.
Hello, this is Robert Capuccio, and welcome back to part 2 of biofeedback training with Amory Miller. So Amory, you're giving us a demonstration now on how to utilize biofeedback tools such as heart rate training. Walk us through what you're doing right now, besides cycling.
Right now I'm basically warming up. I'm working at a fairly low intensity and easy gear on my own race bike. I have heart rate monitor on, and I can see right now I'm working at what I call my zone 1, or kind of recovery zone, which is a very easy intensity, kind of just they use for recovery, for warm up, for cool down, in between intervals, or just for recovery rides when you want to just go out and spin the legs without putting a lot of load on your legs. Now if I wanted to go into a higher training intensity using a bike, I'd either shift gears, or if I was on a combi trainer, add resistance, or if you were using a spin bike at your health club, use the resistance knob to increase the workload, which will bring up the heart rate. As my heart rate starts to increase, I feel definitely an increase in exertion. And by training specifically within different heart rate zones, I can get different training effects. In general, most of your aerobic exercise should be performed in the endurance training zone, which goes up to about 85% of what we call your lactate threshold. And this is the pace where you're going to make the most improvements in aerobic metabolism, in building endurance, and in improving what a layman typically like to think of as the fat burning zone. If you want to work harder, moving up to the tempo range, which is about 85 to 93% of your lactate threshold heart rate, we shift into a heavier gear or increase the workload on the bike. Heart rate would increase, and this range feels like, to the exerciser on a bike, kind of a spirited group ride. Riding at a pace that's hard, but you can still sustain it for a period of time. Now if we want to take it up even further and work near that point where we start to convert from aerobic to anaerobic metabolism, the onset of blood lactates, or what we typically think of as your lactate threshold, I would work at an even harder intensity. Heart rate will go up accordingly, and at this range I'm really challenging that level or the intensity that I can maintain before my body starts to convert to anaerobic metabolism. And for true interval training or high intensity work, going over my lactate threshold, I might have to go to an even higher intensity and work at heart rates above my lactate threshold for short periods of time, which will help my body's ability to tolerate lactic acid and to work at higher intensity levels. And then after working at a higher intensity, go back down to a recovery level. And one of the great ways to use a heart rate monitor is to note when your heart rate has actually dropped to a level where your body can recover and replenish the ATP PCB stores in the muscles, as well as relax, let your muscles reload a little bit before your next effort. So heart rate can be used not just to tell you how hard you're working, but also when you've recovered and how quickly you're recovering. And one of the markers we use to measure fitness with a heart rate monitor is how quickly you do recover after bouts of aerobic training or after going over your lactate threshold. So we use a heart rate monitor not just to tell us how fast your heart is beating, but to really try and stay within specific training zones to improve the full spectrum of your aerobic fitness.